The human digestive system is a complex series of organs and glands that processes food. In order to use the food we eat, our body has to break the food down into smaller molecules that it can process. It also has to excrete waste. Digestion starts in the mouth. Teeth grind up the food, and then special glands under the tongue pump out saliva to help break down and lubricate the food on its 12-hour, 13-foot journey through the gut. It will pass from the mouth, through the esophagus, to the stomach, into the small intestine, before finally passing into the large intestine. Once the food is mashed up in the mouth, it is then swallowed, continuing its voyage to the esophagus, the muscular tube through which the food will travel before reaching the stomach. Waves of contracting muscles in the esophagus keep the food moving, a process called peristalsis. These contractions are so powerful we can even eat upside down. Food enters the stomach through a hole at the end of the esophagus called the esophageal sphincter. The stomach is a bag of muscle that squeezes, churns, and squashes the food into a liquid, referred to as chyme. At the same time, acids break the food down. The stomach walls protect themselves with a lining of mucus. Without it, the stomach walls would digest themselves. About an hour later, the stomach squeezes the food out through a small hole called the pyloric sphincter. The food enters the small intestine, an 11-foot coil of tube, where we absorb the majority of the nutrients from our food. The small intestine is lined with millions of microscopic projections called villi. These increase the surface area, making it easier to absorb nutrients. First, the pancreas pumps out a juice that neutralizes the stomach acid. Then bile from the liver and gallbladder breaks down the food into tiny droplets. The smaller pieces are easier for the small intestine to absorb. After an hour and a half, the small intestine has absorbed most of the nutrients from the food. It's time for what remains to move on. It enters the large intestine through the ileocecal sphincter, a valve that keeps our food from going back in the opposite direction. What's left is a mix of waste food and dead cells from the gut. The large intestine's main job is to extract water from this mixture. Many bacteria live here too, but it's not from an infection. We actually need them. They produce enzymes that break down complex carbohydrates in our food that we otherwise could not digest. Finally, after about 12 hours, we expel what is left over from our meal, and the cycle that is the digestive system is complete.